Welcome, welcome, welcome back. What am I going to call you guys other than the best podcast audience ever? Let's see. Fruitful. There's a word. Look, I'm going to make sure you guys watch every single show because you're going to call me out if I say the same word twice. Oh my gosh, we've got a lot of episodes out there. Hey, welcome back. Mission accepted. What? Mission. What mission are you guys on? What are you doing? We want to know. Tell us, send us, inform us, get on the show. What are you doing? What did you decide to do that someone either forced you into, or the economy forced you into, or you had this great epiphany, or you decided to change everything in your life and your career was one of them, or you went and got an MBA and always knew that you wanted to be a crazy entrepreneur. Look, our show is really for people that took on a mission in their world and their project, in their passion, artists and creators and entrepreneurs. And we've got someone on the show today that's fantastic. And I know you guys love to hear the words Dragon's Den. Woo, because we all think we should be on there. And everyone tells us that you should be on there. And we've got projects. And so this is a woman that can talk to that a little bit. So look, Erin's in one of my absolute favorite. You guys all know how much of a health and wellness advocate I am. And I love the fact that I've gone from people calling me a nut bar in my 20s. You're like a nut too, a professional hippie, which I personally am going to start. I think I'm going to start branding that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to Dorothea and we're going to start getting some hashtags going and we're going to start doing maybe some t-shirts, professional hippie. I think I'll keep that one. Entrepreneur hippie. I don't know. And that's what we've gone to now, right? Is the world of entrepreneurs and potentialites and people that have multiple streams of revenue. And we all want that now, where before it was like, what are you doing? Like no doings. What are you doing? Right? Okay. So let's bring Aeryon onto the show. I know that she's having a good time today. She's kind of doing the mom-daughter thing today. So we snapped her up while she's on vacay. So Aeryon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me and asking me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so look, we always like to kind of know where this all started for people. And I'm sure you've told this story a few times, particularly if you've been on Dragon's Den. But so what made you decide that you wanted to go into the world of female supplements? Like as if, if you wanted to go into something for female, now you want to start getting into supplements. This is going to be good.
Yeah, no, I have my dad was a bodybuilder, my mom was a figure skating coach, if you want to go way back. So kind of aesthetics and athletics were always super important in our household. And from a young age, I always really struggled with my weight. I was always a really overweight child. And at 13, my parents put me in Weight Watchers, hoping that this would, help me. In hindsight, my mom now, because we've written one of my book together, but she was just mortified that she actually did that. I have a 14-year-old, so I can't imagine doing that. But at the time, she thought this is going to give her tools and she'll be able to figure it out. And I remember sitting in that meeting and looking around all these older women thinking, I'm too much, but I'm not enough all at the same time. And it was shortly after that, a schoolmate of mine, his sister was anorexic and bulimic. And in my little pubescent teenage mind, I just heard, oh my God, I can eat whatever I want and be skinny. And so that night I actually went home and I binged and purged. And that started my 25-year battle with bulimia. And in my late 20s, I started doing fitness competitions. And for myself, fitness competitions really became glorified eating disorders, sorry, because I was able to kind of hide behind this this severe dieting that I was on, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, it's amazing, and look at you and praise me for it. And during that 16 week of a competition, I'd be really, really good. And then the minute the show would end, I would fall terribly off back into my eating disorder tendencies. And so my weight would go from, anywhere from 120, 125, all the way back up to 185 within a span of a month. So really extreme all the time. And I think, a lot of people might not resonate with eating disorders or fitness competitions, but I think we all can resonate with this concept of this on again, off again relationship with food in our body or wellness, right? We're either on or we are off the wagon. Right? And it was actually about 10 years ago. And I've been in the supplement industry for a long time. I'd been a nutritionist, I've been a health and wellness coach, but I was so good at giving advice, not so good at taking it myself. And about 10 years ago, I binged and purged again. And I went upstairs to, purge, and my daughter knocked at the door. And it really became my defining moment because I remember raising up and catching my reflection. And I was like, if I don't get a grip on this, this is going to be her. And that's really what made my, that fork in the road where you're like, I have to make a decision that's going to impact not only me, because I was very easy on being hard on me, but her. I didn't want her to follow my path. And so I started working with cognitive behavioral therapists. I started working with nutritionalists. I started working on my relationship to movement and to my body, and also began looking in supplementation. And what I found in the supplementation industry, even though I had been in it for, almost 15 years at this time, is there was a real message of take this and everything's going to be better. This kind of magic pill idea. And I really wanted to change the game when it came to that. I wanted to not only create really great quality supplements, something I was really looking for that was really more so focused towards females, but I also wanted to give my consumers the tools I wish I always had, the steps that I knew I need to take to find sustainable health and wellness. And so that's really kind of what ended up happening. I was with a very large company for 13 years, and they were bought out by another huge, one of the biggest supplement companies in Canada bought them. And I was packaged out, and I rolled the dice and took what I had and started Aeryon Wellness. And so it's been almost 4 years now. We're going on 4 years now, and we have 12 products on the market and growing. And we're in about 400 to 500 stores across Canada right now. So it's been quite a journey, and but I absolutely love what I do, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing in life. So that's kind of a little bit of the story to kind of bring me to this point today.
Well, that's a great story. Let's unpack that a little bit. I would say, I mean, I've interviewed, I've been doing, the world of entrepreneurship for 30 years, and the conversations that I've had, the sidebar conversations, the best parties in the kitchen, those kind of things, or when you go to the bathroom, and you meet someone and you're like, so, hey, blah, blah, blah. There's, by nature, when something big happens, there tends to be a pivotal moment if people take the time to think back. And, as you talk about that pivotal moment being that your daughter was knocking on the door, I think we could all get a visualization of what that looked like. Right. And so, what is it that you did? Because I think, as you're speaking, there's a lot of people that know people. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that have still never told anybody. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that have come and gone through that themselves. There's a lot of people that they're still, I think, around that medical condition. It's kind of like, I had it very dear in my family. So I understand, and I, in friendships and what have you. And I understand, I mean, there's a secrecy around it, right? There's some kind of thing around it, kind of like, when people are trying to break the barrier of like drug addiction or alcoholism is actually a disease. And so you had this pivotal moment, as people do. Sometimes we have them multiple times before we take action. But what did you do from that point on? Like you went and got therapy. That's right. You said that was the moment that you reached outside of yourself to figure out this solution.
Yeah. I mean, my mom and I wrote my book, Bulimia to Balance. And in there, I really kind of chronicled the journey, okay. But I also put in there a lot of the strategies that I put in place. And one of the things I really recognized was whenever I was in this, show season or competitive season, I never binged and purged. So what I recognized, there was a sense of structure I had to bring to myself. I had to take all the trigger points out of the house. So there was no more popcorns, no more cake mixes, nothing that I found a trigger in my house. And that was the one thing I did. Then I also started planning my meals because I felt, because it was what's interesting for me, at least with this eating disorder, it was all about control. And mm-hmm. I'm so in control of everything in my life that when I was able to binge, it was the complete loss of control. And I just didn't care. And it was just this freeing feeling almost. And then I'd binge, and then my anxiety, because I have anxiety, and my anxiety would kick in because all of a sudden I binged and I'd have to get control again. And so what I began recognizing was during those moments when I began to have a couple bites and I began to go faster and faster, I had to put it down, walk away, take those things out of my house. And I had to literally have planned meals for the first while because it really kept structure, and it really gave me that control that I needed. And I, made sure everything was all healthy, and I was eating, what I needed every single day. So there was no restriction as it was when I was competing, but it was that structure and that control that mm-hmm. essentially the thing I was trying to kind of let go of that actually ended up kind of saving me as well. Yeah. Right. And then working with cognitive behavioral therapists and working with my mom, she became a counselor actually. So her and I had lots of conversations, and recognizing that in moments when I began to feel that anxiety kick in, I wanted to eat more and more. I'd pick up the phone, I'd leave the situation. I'd go for a walk. I'd go outside. I'd get on the phone and call somebody. I necessarily might not tell them I'm in the middle. I feel like I'm going to binge, but I would call somebody to break that state. Yeah. Anthony Robbins talks a lot about that, right? So really changing that state, and I had to change the state and change where I was in that moment. And that was that was a real pivotal thing for me to implement.
Well, thank you for sharing about that, because you know what? Again, I've had that situation very close and dear to home. And here's the interesting thing. So whether, I mean, sometimes if it's alcohol or drugs or shopping or this or whatever it is that we're doing to try to deal with whatever it is we're trying to deal with inside, one of the most difficult things is the arena of food when you have a relationship with it that doesn't serve you. I'm not even use the word unhealthy because it just doesn't work. So when you have a relationship with food that isn't serving you, the challenge is it's not like alcohol where it's like call your sponsor or call your therapist, just don't do it. You have to learn to have a new relationship with food because it's your substance for living, right? It's not like you can like, I'm never going shopping. I'm never going to into, well, I could never imagine not going into Tiffany's again, but I'm just going to use it as an example because I love Tiffany's. But you know, like you can say, hey, I'm having a hard time not doing this activity, but to actually go from having a relationship with it that didn't serve you to having a relationship with it that served you is
Yeah.
quite the experience.
Well,
So
I think, the thing with alcohol is you can, as you said, you can quit alcohol. And with food, it is about being able to have a healthier relationship. And I know when I look back, I mean, I never thought I'd have a healthy relationship with food ever.
mhm.
And so I am a person who can stand here and say it is possible. It is possible to, I mean, last night my daughter and I went out to a tasting menu here. That never would have happened ever previously, right? And so looking at that, it's taken me years to come to this point, but it's like working out. You can't go to the gym once and expect your muscles to be there. You really have to every day. It's taking these little tiny steps and habits towards the way that will actually bring you to the point you want to be at, or the body you want to have, or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about your business. Let's talk about your business. So here you are. Clearly, that's in the time span that you've had your business going, you've obviously been quite diligent because you've had some great success, and you must hear some incredible stories. And I know that we were talking a little pre-show, and when you said it, I could relate. I mean, there's many times I think that we walk into a health food store or into somewhere, and you have this
Oh yeah.
plethora of
Oh,
choices, and you ask the sales rep, and I mean the sales reps can only be as experienced or as versed as they are experienced and or versed. You don't
yeah.
know if you're going to get a new person or a not person, or did this rep from this company come in and do a lot of really good training, but this rep didn't make it because it's not really part of their geographical. So I know that and I loved when we had this conversation because we use QR codes in my media company in a very creative way. And I actually teach on how to use it for innovative marketing. So I'll
Hmm.
tap into that with you.
Yeah.
But so you use QR codes. It was one of the experiences that you said was a deciding factor with Dragon's Den. So share with us those two pieces. So
Yeah.
for those of you out there that are looking for innovative marketing, I love QR codes. We use them extensively. They're in every book that I do. And what was that? You said that was a deciding factor with Dragon's Den. So share.
Well, how I kind of even came to the QR code idea is I had the opportunity, I have formulators that work for me. And I had the opportunity to use it was a metabolism support workout product. And I had the opportunity to have it. And when I do a lot of public speaking or I'm in stores doing consumer webinars or lectures, I have women always asking about weight loss. But I really struggled with the idea of having a weight loss product because I know there's no magic pill in my previous experience. And I know it was a great product. And I use it before I work out. I love it. It's one of my favorites. And I was like, how am I going to, I can't, because it goes against everything I believe in. I'm like, how am I going to have this product, but be able to relay the messaging of its meal plans and mindful eating strategies and workouts and all of these different things. And originally I was actually going to call the product Move It. Retailers, because I was like, move it to lose it. So I went into one of my retailers because I visit about 10 stores a day. I'm going to be visiting stores today on the way back down to Vancouver. And I went into my retailer and I'm like, this is it. What do you think? Here's the label. What do you think of it? And she's like, you cannot name that Move It. And I was like, why? She goes, it sounds like a laxative, Erin. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, but you
I
have to
didn't
move
even
it.
think that.
I know. I'm like, but you have to move it to like, then call it Lose It. So it became Lose It. So it's more like lose the excuses. And ironically enough, Move It is my intestinal support product launching in March coming up this year. So we will be using the word Move It for an intestinal support product.
Absolutely
But
fantastic.
so I remember I was driving and I was like, how am I going to do this? And all of a sudden I'm like, I could use QR codes because I began to think, pandemic, this is the one great thing COVID has given me is, I use QR codes a lot more. And so we put it on Lose It. And then from then I was like, this is going to be my way of sharing my message of empowering women with holistic health. Every single product has a QR code. every single product has 2 full meal plans, vegan and non, that are very individual. Every single product is going to have, and we're right now, every September, we're going through and updating, adding more content. And that's the great thing about QR codes. I mean, you can just keep going, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yes, you can. Yes, you
going.
can.
So, when my consumer, or my retailer for that aspect as well, retailers right now are really experiencing a hard time with employment, getting people to stay on board. There
Mhm.
also is a very transient, people are coming in and they're not necessarily people are going to stay there forever. But what this QR code does, it not only helps the consumer understand the product with the video I have in the beginning, but also the retailer. When they have new staff on board, they can watch the 1-minute synopsis of what this product will do for you, what the ingredients are there for. And so this is my 3rd time trying out in Dragon's Den. And as with everything, you just keep coming back and coming back and coming back and trying again and again. So it was my 3rd time trying out. My first year I went on, it was funny because we had no sales. I had my daughter come out with me. We had to go stand in line for 2.5 hours. She was not a happy 12-year-old, to say the least. I got in, or no, she would have been 11. Got in, did my pitch, and they're kind of like, so you have no sales? And I'm like, nope. And they're like, you're just cute.
Yeah.
Go. So next year I come
Go.
back, and we had, I think it was 72,000. And so I was like, yeah, I've got sales. And they're like, no, you're still, still too small. And then I came back last year. So with the trajectory we've done is we've done 72 to 419. This past year we did 763, and we're 1.5 this year coming up. So really our trajectory is really substantially increased. And so it was the fact using these QR codes. And if you watch the Dragon's Den episode, I mean, yeah, it was the QR codes all the way, because it really is trying to educate people from a different component, and nobody in our industry is doing it right now. And it's actually secured me listings. We had a large grocery chain out east, 23 stores, and he solely listed because he really loved the QR code idea. And he said, nobody is doing that. And so it really does help the consumer and the retailer both sell the product and understand the product. So yeah.
Fabulous. Fabulous. We do it. We use the QR code. So I just launched the Entrepreneur Planner. And I know that people are going to be watching this, they're going to be watching this podcast for the next year. They'll be like, oh, you just launched it now. So, okay, you guys just call, but, you can get next ones if you can't get this ones. And we use QR codes in the most incredible way. So instead of quotes, right? So everyone that gives us quotes for the planner, we have 130 quote spaces for next year. This year we did 64. And so if you wanted to give me a quote, Aeryon, happy to have it in the next year's planner, and we QR code that. And so the beautiful thing is exactly that. The quotes are from people, I would say, that are alive. I mean, it's great to be inspired by Winston Churchill, but you know what? These are live people, and they have this quote, and it pops up to this beautiful square with their signature. It's so much more impressionable. And then you can send these quotes. You can make up a screensaver, and then you can embed a video. So, you can get a live quote off a paper planner and the interaction between paper and digital world. So I totally get that. And you know what? When you say that, I'm thinking, absolutely, absolutely. Because even for myself, who refers many people to many different products, I'm like, I don't, I'm okay. So when you use Tamil and you have a sick, and I have to tell them how to use it. I could be just like, just scan the QR code, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just scan the QR code.
A lot easier. And I think because I started it at the beginning of the brand, as we grow, every single one's going to be, we'll have one. I mean, I can't imagine if I had a company with, 300 products, it would almost, it'd be way, you just couldn't even almost do it, right? It'd be really challenging. But starting the way we have, it's going to keep continuing with every single product. And then we revamp them once a year and kind of go through them, redo the meal plan. So then you're not getting the same stuff all the time. You're really getting new information, and new studies are constantly coming forward too, as well. So
absolutely. Wow, that's fantastic. Just off topic a little bit. So bucket list. I love to ask people what's on their bucket list. And you know why? Because when people share what's on their bucket list, it makes other people think about what's on theirs. The other thing is, I think it's important to share, because we as entrepreneurs, we're in it, man. We are in it. You are talking to 10 of your vendors today. You're in it, you're thinking. And we know we have like a treasure board. I don't know about you, I have 4. And I do a 5-year vision and a 1-year vision. And I have to, because my planner takes me through that process. And I'm always thinking about that. Bucket list. What's 1 or 2 things on your bucket list? Because I think when you say them and someone else hears them, magic happens.
Yeah. Well, definitely one of them is we donate a portion of every bottle to the Downtown Eastside Women's Shelter here in Vancouver.
Yeah.
As a young teenager, I found myself on the street. I was not in very good situations, and had it not been for kind of these grassroots organizations supporting women, there's no way I'd be having a conversation today, let alone have a supplement company. And so we've done that since the very first bottle we've sold. And my big, hairy, audacious goal, I guess you could say, with that one is my mom has always volunteered at the Calgary Women's Shelter, and she's a continuing learner, a lifelong learner. She's a counselor and still takes university courses in her 70s. And I would love to eventually have a library or have something in her name to commemorate her and what she has done, not only impacting me, but also helping other women as well. So that's one of my big, hairy, audacious goals with that, and continuing to support women in need. And then just to really, eventually create a brand that makes a real impact and difference in women's life, where they're able to say, I was taking these products, and we have it now, and it's growing, and you just got to kind of keep pushing ahead. But to create a product line and to create the brand in a point where women everywhere know what it is. We're going to be going into the States. We've already launched on Amazon.com, so Amazon.uk eventually. So obviously worldwide would be the goal for the brand. And I would eventually I will sell the brand, but I'd like to stay somewhat in point where I'm able to do public speaking and really champion what the messaging is behind the brand.
All right. Wow. We're going to be having a meeting. We hope that you choose to share. We're doing the largest authorship and speakership event that's ever been done that we know of in history for International Women's Day, which is going to be running from, well, by the time it's all done, it'll be 2 years, but it's going to be running from International Women's Day 2023 to Mother's Day 2024. And so we'd love for you to be a part of that. That being aside, love the library idea. Let me know. I'm sure we'll all donate some books that relate to women in there. That's some pretty incredible goals. You talk about Amazon. Let's have a little snippet about Amazon a little bit, because some people debate whether to put their things on there. So, when you talk about Amazon, on the other side of the table, you're going to get a love or hate conversation. So as someone who's a supplier to Amazon, do you have any advice for people that are going to go down that road? Or
hire a good Amazon person. I'm really blessed that I have a great Amazon guy who works with me. I use Fulfilled by Amazon for my website. If you buy anything from Aeryon Wellness, it gets shipped from Amazon. For me to be shipping products or even using a fulfillment center, the cost is way more than using Amazon. I don't sell to Amazon. There's different ways you can kind of work with it. Amazon ships for me, so it's different. So it costs a little bit more, but in that I dictate my pricing. I control the pricing, right? So Amazon doesn't keep going if somebody else goes lower. And with that, the reason I did that was my retailers are very dear friends to mine. I want to make sure I protect the margin for them. I don't want, and I've seen this happen, a consumer coming into a store, talking to a retailer, getting all the information, and then looking on their phone and seeing Amazon has it for $20 cheaper and buying it on the spot.
absolutely.
And so with that, being able to control my pricing has been hugely important. Now I play whack-a-mole every day. I will be honest with you. We've recently told my distributor, because I have a distributor, then I have a brokerage team. So I have 30 reps now across Canada selling the product, but that we're not selling to Amazon resellers anymore. So I have anybody who's reselling on Amazon, I will not sell to them, because I am not spending my days emailing people being like, can you please raise that product to $39.99, not $39.98? And it's not worth it for me time-wise. So there will be choice select people who will sell my products on Amazon, who follow MAP, which is our everyday low pricing, and who really want to support the brand and also understand they want to make money. I want you to make money. That's the thing too, right? So, but Amazon has been great for us. In the States, we've had challenges, which is really frustrating. A lot of American companies come up and sell on, on Amazon.ca very easily without NPNs. I will do this public service announcement. If you are buying supplements, make sure there is an NPN on the product, a natural product number, because all Canadians, as Canadian vendor, we pay so much money to have these NPN. We have clinical data and studies. We can't just say anything. All the claims we say have to be justified with these reports and research. And so what really aggravates me is we have a lot of American companies coming up, putting stuff on Amazon.ca, and they're allowed to sell. However, myself going into the States, FDA is not challenging at all. It's Amazon, the testing they want, the third-party GMP. That has been a real that has been a delay for us. So currently we have 3 products down in the States. And hopefully in the next 6 months, because I've had to do separate labels. So I have a whole other product line sitting waiting. So hopefully in the next several months, everything will be kind of finally up and running. But yeah, if that's one thing I can say, anybody in Canada, if you're buying supplements, make sure there's an MPN and make sure you're supporting Canadian companies or American companies that are doing the due diligence correctly. I'm all for a free market, but
Yeah.
it's not when we have to spend so much time and up to a year waiting for an MPN. It can take up to
Right.
Right.
Yes. No, I'm familiar. I'm familiar even when it comes to things like skincare.
Yeah.
So thank you so much and look at you guys. This is the world of entrepreneurship. This is when we talk about mission. This is because look at the mission doesn't come once. Like Aeryon didn't go, oh, I'm going to start this company because I walked into a health food store and got frustrated.
Yeah.
It's not about taking the mission once. And a lot of us do that. And then sometimes we take it on, but it is a continued wayward path of now we want to sell on Amazon. Of course you do. And what does that entail? Now I'm hiring somebody. Now I'm going through these hoops. Now I'm dealing with this government. And that's the duration. That's the endurance. That's the hair in the ponytail. That's the, I didn't shave this week. That's the, my business is more important than cleaning off the dining room table. I mean, honestly, I said it 1,000 times when my 15-year-old sat me down and said he wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I'm like, well, I hope that you find a partner in life that doesn't care if you eat at the dining room table. Because we've ate at the living room couch more times than, any, whatever, quote unquote, should. But it's all those things that sometimes it creates a plethora. Your work creates a plethora of work, or you go down this direction, or this person doesn't, fulfill, or even when you talk about the retailers that right now are struggling to keep people, keep employees. And I was listening to Simon Signac this morning that said, that right now, millennials in 5 years will be coming up with resumes saying that they were at 9 jobs, and what is that about? And he had a great discussion about that. So this is the part about staying in the game. This is the part about coming up against yourself. Really, it's really about coming against yourself and getting through whatever that means to you. So thank you so much for sharing that, because when people see things like, oh, they're on Amazon, oh, they're on Dragon's Den, they didn't know you were there 3 times, it's just this beautiful story in the magazine, right? And those of us that play in this world know differently. So look, I want to give people an opportunity to go get your products. I want you to share where people can do that. And then I have one final last question. Well, you know what? Before we get to, I have 2 questions for you because I'm inspired to ask you, if you didn't do this, if you didn't do what you were doing, what do you think you would have done?
Oh, I don't, that's hard. I'm definitely a salesperson and I love
Right.
people. So, I mean, real estate, I guess I could be good at real estate. I remember when I got packaged out from the larger company and I went to Acme, I was seeing my dad, and my dad said to me, go into real estate, Aeryon, don't do the supplement thing. Like you'd be so good at real estate. And it's the same kind of idea, right? You're just constantly managing. And he said, go into real estate. I remember I took a walk that night. It was the night of my birthday. And I took a walk around Acme, which is literally takes 5 minutes, but nonetheless, I took a walk. And I remember walking, I just thought, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it. I have to try. And so what I kind of set up for myself, I do this every birthday. If I am not leaps and bounds in the direction of my dreams every birthday, then I'm done. And so every year I reassess, am I leaps and bounds? Yes, I am leaps and bounds. Okay, next year, here we got, am I leaps and bounds? And so every year I kind of do that assessment. And so I guess you could say real estate, obviously it'd be sales because I love connecting with people. I'm very much an extrovert, very much a people person. So that may be it. So sales of some kind. But supplements is, I just feel so blessed that I get to wake up every morning and do what I do. I love my job and I know this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing in the world. Like I know that, no ifs, ands, or buts. And it's taken me, I still have moments of like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, and stress and money stress. And is it all going to work out? And making sure I order the products. And I have like all of that is still very, very much a reality for me every single second. It's always in my head or at 3 o'clock in the morning if I wake up. But I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I think that's, so sales of some kind in the long short.
Right. No, that was great. That's why I think I was inspired. I always, I hear questions. I think it's just, audio future psychic stuff or whatever. I'm like, I need to ask her that question. But what a great story about how, someone in our lives, and we've all had them, and usually out of good intention. I remember when my dearest friend, and to this day, she doesn't know who she is. And if she ever listens to my podcast, she'll be like, that was me. when I said to her, I'm going to start an aromatherapy home party company, and she literally looked at me, very successful in her direct sales company. I'd helped her, advise her to get there. And she looked at me, she goes, no one's ready for an aromatherapy home party company. I'm like, I'm going to punch you. I think my first 10 years in my business was just because I was so pissed. Right. I didn't need right. I'm like,
I can't do that.
Don't say that to a Sagittarian. So anyways, long story short, where can we reach your products? Where can we reach you for speaking engagements, and where can we get your book?
So everything is on aeronwellness.com. So we have everything there. The book, Bulimia to Balance, and I also have 4 cookbooks as well. Those are all on amazon.ca and amazon.com, I believe. As for products, you can buy them on Amazon, buy them direct, or you can walk into any retailer. We're in Whole Foods and GNCs and Popeyes, and like we're pretty well everywhere across Canada. So if wherever you are in Canada, you can buy them there, and in the States, you can get them on amazon.com. So
okay. So now for our listeners, do you want to spell your name for us?
yes. So it is Aeryon. So I get a lot of people who don't know how to pronounce it properly, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. As long as you can get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So my final question for you, and what a great conversation this morning. My final question for you is, that's it. You are on your way to your desert island of choice. You have one suitcase and you have room for one album. I love music. What album are you taking that you could not imagine not listening to for the rest of your life?
Oh, Coldplay, for sure.
Nice.
I'm a huge Coldplay fan, so definitely Coldplay. I listen to them quite a bit, so it'd be Coldplay.
Okay. Okay. Any particular album or any particular song?
Viva La Vida is one of my favorites. Michaela was born to that. I have made a birthing CD that I had playing. I went in with all this, like I had the ball, I had candles, I had champagne.
Yeah.
That all went to the wayside. I know the music, the song was playing when she was born. That's pretty well it. But yeah, I went in with I'm a full Leo. I had my list. Like, we're going to do this right. But she was born to that song. So that's one of my favorites.
Very good. Very good. You're hilarious. I went in with the aromatherapy and the oils and massage oil, and there was 19 doctors in the room when my daughter was born. So to say the least, I was like F aromatherapy, and you know how much I love it. So I was like,
give me drugs.
Yeah. I grabbed my doctor. He came around the table. I grabbed him. Now she's 29. So its birthing was a little different.
Yeah.
We got to grant our mothers. Hey, so I grabbed him by the tie, threw his head to the bed, and told him to cut this baby out of me. He's like, would you like an epidural? I was like, what is it? And 20 hours ago.
Give me something. I wanted an epidural, and I didn't get a chance to get it. And I remember like, this is not my birth plan. I want drugs. Where are the drugs? So it was really funny. The nurse is like, it's gonna be okay. Just watch me. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to go back. I'm done.
I want out.
I want out. I'm revoking. This is not at all what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be on a ball. I thought music was going to be playing. Have a massage.
I know. You know what? Thank God. I just love the fact that my friends let me go with that fantasy. Like when I think about it, my girlfriend, bless her soul, she came in with me. She had 3 kids in total. I think her labor time was like 9 or 10 hours within 3 kids. So she's like, I'll be your coach. I'm like, sweet. She left. She's like, I can't do this. I'm like, what do you mean? She freaking left. Believe it or not, she was my coach for the second one too, but I had a backup. Like I had 2 other people, because I'm like, I know you. If I go into your lunchtime, you're out of here. She freaking left. She's like, this is too much for me. I'm like, excuse me? Oh my God. So funny. So funny. Anyways, that's a whole different conversation to be had. Look, girl, congratulations on your success. We'd love to have you in the project. So I know we're going to set a time for that. This is not going to be the last time that we hear from you. Us and or the world. You clearly have a mission and you're going for it. So congratulations on everything. And thank you so much for being transparent and sharing your story. Super important, right?
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Listen, you guys, I know you're on a mission and you are going to share this episode and you're going to subscribe and you're going to do everything you're doing. And I know you are, because guess what? As a good business person, I check our analytics. So you guys are rocking it out there. I so appreciate this because it's not just about us, the mission accepted and having a few fans, right? This is about getting the word out about people on a mission. Because even if you're not, even if you don't want to take this crazy journey of entrepreneurship, you know what? These stories are good and they're funny and they make you laugh and they inspire you. And this is the stuff that we listen to on YouTube every single friggin' day. So we work real hard to bring you some real great, amazing people doing amazing things. So thank you for what you do. And look, I talked about the 262 book. You guys, we are having the largest authorship and the largest speakership that's ever been done for International Women's Day. From March 7th, 2023, we are going to kick off with an incredible summit. And we are going to pre-summit every month to 2024 when we have what we project to be 2,000 to 2,500 men and women on an incredible book launch of 262 women that chose to take on the mission. And we are going to then summit our way all the way to Mother's Day. By the end of that, there'll be 10,000 of you viewing and listening and hearing incredible stories. So no, this is not an annual event. This is a one time, and we're going all in. So if you want to have an invitation to that event, if you'd like to speak at that event, if you'd like to be in the book, then you know what to do. I am super easy to find. It's deb@debdrummond.com. So just check out with us and we will see you again next week. So till then, be good, be groovy, and bye for now. Bye, guys.